Being a project coordinator, which is a fancy term for hiring manager, can be really stressful. There's quotas to meet, key points of interest to maintain, all in an effort to placate the corporate machine. I've been looking for other work for a while now, but something just happened that has solidified this decision. About a week ago, I had a gentleman looking for work in my office. The man was quiet, disheveled, and I think he took the bus. But during a labor market crisis, the fact that this guy was a warm-blooded human being that kept his appointment, I was enthralled to meet him. He seemed kind of nervous, and as I asked him questions, he never looked me in the eye. I asked him simple questions pertaining to the job, such as the ability to read a tape measure and if his safety certifications were up to date, to which he seemed to have no clue what it was that I was talking about, or understand the common jargon. This obviously put up some red flags that didn't go unnoticed. However, we need people, and if they're breathing and can get back and forth, I'll take them. I mentioned some lower-paying, entry-level positions available, to which he declined. He thanked me for my time and promptly left my office. It was after he was gone that some of the strangeness of it all finally began to sink in. He was an older gentleman, and if he had no experience or knowledge on simple construction elements, then he couldn't be a construction worker at all. But then, why apply for the job? And I'm not one to judge, but he didn't seem to be very wealthy, and truly in need of a job. But then, why turn down my offer of work? The pay was less, sure, but still more than fair, comparable really. I shrugged it off as just another one of those strange candidates that walk through my doors. You know the type, always fidgeting, won't make eye contact, and scratching at their skin. Maybe he had another interview or another offer. I couldn't place my finger on it, but something about this guy just got under my skin. I soon forgot about it, however. The stress of the day can get you that way. But I would be reminded soon enough. Like I said, it was a week later, today. I knew something was off when I saw the squad of police cars and lights flashing at about half a mile up the road. But I figured it was some sort of accident or something. Traffic here is terrible, and such a sight isn't uncommon in the slightest. But I made my way down a side street to avoid the thickened afternoon traffic, and eventually made it home to my wife and daughter, a cooked meal already prepared. I sat down, the news playing on the TV with an eye shot of the table. When my wife asked me about my day, my face went limp, jaw slack, and my head lightened. I didn't hear her, only focusing intently on the screen, and as the story drew out, I only became more intrigued until my blood ran cold with ice. The news story began with detailing the events that took place only down the street from where I work, alongside a picture of the suspect in custody. Where I work is mostly a business district, lined with office buildings, but due to current world circumstances, most are empty or light with employees, such as like myself, who also work alone, currently in a large office. Police were called when somebody in a suite nearby heard screaming, and not like a yelling, but this person described it as a type of agonized pleading, so much so that they refused to investigate and called the police instead. Of course, it took them nearly 20 minutes to arrive on scene, in enough time to catch the perpetrator in the act, but not in time to save the man that he had literally butchered to death. This guy overpowered his victim and tied him up before pulling out a small hatchet that he had hidden in his pant leg. He began with extremities first, toes, fingers, nose, and other things I really don't want to detail. By the time the cops found him, the office was covered in blood, with small bits of body parts, chunks of flesh, and goopy sinew strewn about like decoration. The smiling man, naked, covered in blood, and holding a severed head, in the center of the room. He was literally caught red-handed, and after grappling with the sight of the gruesome scene and placing the surprisingly calm and compliant man in the back of the police car, they had to ask him why. What he said was so much worse than all I had just heard. He only said that he had spent some time searching for his victim, the one that the voices would tell him to kill. He had been up and down this strip for weeks, waiting for the right person and the right time to present itself, and he showed no remorse. It was the fucking scratching, fidgeting man that was in my office last week, the guy that I had interviewed. I had no idea that he was interviewing me, too.